All right, sounds good.
Thank you for your time, and everyone. Have a nice day.
Alrighty, Suhail, you're up next. You're free to speak, Suhail. Suhail, I think you muted yourself. Suhail, do you have a question?
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes.
So I'm a developer myself, and I just had a question regarding the latest Twitter algo. I went to the blog post and GitHub, and my question is mainly about the search algorithm. Basically, we have the feed algorithm, but how does the search algorithm usually work? Like, what is the factor that basically the search algorithm work? For example, there are different people with the same name, and if I search that name, how would Twitter bring up that person that I really want? Is it like the past interaction, the number of followers? What are the main factors that impact the search algorithm?
Go ahead, guys.
Cafe or Jonathan or Brian, one of you want to take that one?
Well, I can speak a little bit to a similar noted question. So one thing is we do use search when it comes to in-network tweets when we want to find tweets from people you follow. But I don't think it speaks directly to your question of like if you type in a name, finding the actual account that you're interested in. So I guess just to note is that to power in-network tweets, we do use Twitter search, but it's all from the back-end systems where we check for all of the user IDs that you follow. And then we hit the search backend, which indexes those tweets for the past 24 hours. And then we fetch those for scoring and then determining whether or not to serve that in your For You page. But I'm not the expert in terms of how we do user type ahead based on the name to find the account you're actually interested in. So maybe Hao Fei, if you have any thoughts on that.
Yes, yeah. Hi, this is Hao Fei. I'm with Elay. Elay, can you speak for search?
Yes, for the search algorithm, so think about the search is very also similar with the recommendation system. So all the search problem is very complex. So we have the similar. So all the search problem. We have the similar recommendation kind of steps, just like say we have a retrieval stage, we have the ranking stage for the search, and a lot of times a lot of facts in the search actually help you to find the relevant content. So definitely so the whether wording is matched to each other matters a lot, and also it depends on whether if we will more pretend to search for the people you already engage with. We try to optimize kind of say what's the most popular things in your areas. All these things really matters for the search algorithms. So I believe maybe Elon will kind of we can. Does this answer your question?
Yeah, I believe it does. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yes, just a quick comment. We didn't open source a search in this round. This round is more about For You timeline recommendation. We will for sure follow up with open source the entire search as well.
Great. All right, Youssef, you're up next. Oh, did we lose Youssef? Okay. On to the next person. All right. Natasha, you're up next.
Hello.
Yep,
Okay.
I can hear you.
I was just going to say, I think it would be nice if it was easier to report catfish accounts, especially for people who are verified to report an account that is stealing or using their photos in post, because I feel like currently there is a bunch of hoops to jump through to go through said reports.
Sure, no, agreed. In general, we need to improve customer service so that, especially for verified, there is someone you can communicate with to resolve issues like impersonation or misuse of copyrighted information or just any kind of deception or fraud.
Okay, great. Demon, you're up next.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for bringing me up, and great space, guys. And Elon Musk, huge fan and love what you do. And just wanted to say, like, I had a question about the algorithm in terms of, like, what we post in terms of tweet. Like, I know you said, like, we had, like, a big emphasis towards media. So, like, can you just go a little bit on that?
Well, it's, like I said, the goal with what's recommended, and we've got a lot of work to do to get there, is to show you the things that you would find most informative, interesting, funny, entertaining, and like I said, maximize the number of unregretted user minutes, or even really down to the second, maximize unregretted user seconds on the site. So that's really the goal. We do want to minimize for individual content creators, like we don't want to have any kind of, like I said, pay to play where you have to pay for distribution. Like if your content is really good, provided you are verified, that it should be. We don't want to be like one of those pay to win games, you know, which really kill. I kind of hate that. So it's like, you know, it just makes you feel bad, frankly, to have a pay to win kind of game.
No, 100%.
So
100%.
It's kind of like Twitter verified, which you can like say get for $7 a month if you buy it via the web. That's like buying the app, but then there's not a whole bunch of pay to play things beyond that. I mean, yeah, you can do advertising, but and we have that, of course, and we identify it. But for organically recommended content, it should be a function of the quality of the content, not how much somebody paid for that to have that content promoted.
No, 100%. Like, you know, also, like, I'm like I said before, like, I'm bullish as fuck, like, everything that you do. And this verification, like, you know, it was great, like, the way you rolled it out. Also, like, one suggestion I had, like, now that I'm on stage, like, for group chats, would it be possible to expand, like, on the 75 people we have? Like, it really hurts a lot of things, like, you know, on Twitter, and that would be great if we can just expand on that.
Okay, sure. Like, this is for DMs and stuff?
Yes, DMs. Like, right now the cap is 75. If you guys could like make it like 150 or whatever, like that would be just amazing.
Okay, sure. Noted. Well, 150 should be quite doable. We are rolling out a bunch of improvements in April to DMs, which are admittedly long overdue, so that you'll be able to reply to an individual DM. So, like, there's a whole bunch of messages, we're talking like basic messages 101 here. But we're rolling out the feature next month, so you can reply to an individual DM, and then you can also have any kind of reaction emoji that you want, and then it just caches the your most used reaction emojis. Super basic stuff. But then also you'll have the option to turn a chat, initially just one-on-one, to turn a chat to encrypted. So you'll lose some convenience if you make a chat encrypted, because it's like harder to move that to a new phone. But you'll just have the opportunity to turn a chat to be encrypted or not encrypted very easily, just tap of a button. So that should be really, helpful for privacy. And then sort of later this year, or hopefully not too far in the future, hopefully only a few months away, we'll be adding in the ability to do voice DM through DMs, to be able to say, like, can you speak to someone and have a voice chat or a video chat? So can you, if you've got a DM group and you want to turn that into a spaces, private spaces, audio chat, or a video chat, although it gets a little unwieldy at 150, that you can do so. But I think it would be kind of cool to be able to use your Twitter handle to have a conversation with someone else without having to give away your phone number. So that seems like it could be pretty cool.
Thanks. All right, up next is Sterling.
Hey, what's up? Thanks for having me up. I've got one technical suggestion and two questions. The first, obviously, you guys are, you have this embedding space for how, users are related to each other and related to people you follow and stuff. And I feel like just giving people a direct user interface to that embedding space would be a huge user value. You do that in the Twitter Blue top articles where you can see like the top things people you follow are posting, but also people they follow, which I feel like is a massive, value add to give people direct access to the way that these graphs are constructed. But the two questions that I have, just in the few minutes that I've been looking through this code trying to make sense of it, there's a user mass file, and it seems like if you're following over 500 people, and your following to follower ratio is above 60%, you actually get punished. So, if you're following 1,000 people and, if you have 1,000 followers and you're following 800 people, you'll be shown less often than if you unfollowed 300 of those people. And I get how that could punish people who are following lots of people to spam, but it also sort of punishes curious people who want to use the platform. So I feel like that could use some work or looking into. And then my second question is there's this file called home tweet type predicates. And there's completely separate types of tweets. If author is Republican, author is Democrat, author is power user, or author is Elon. And I feel like I could see why you might want to categorize those things, but just political bias aside, dividing people into Democrats and Republicans and not having more granularity, just seems problematic, and it's reinforcing our two-party system, which it's just a bummer to see that sort of stuff explicitly called out and not an emergent property of some deep neural networks embedding space.
I agree that shouldn't be there. That's why I prefaced this by there's going to be a ton of stupid, embarrassing things that are shown here with the making the code open source. The intent is not to say, hey, here is our incredible open source. It is a flawless gem. It's no, it's got a lot of issues that need to get fixed, and I think you've identified at least one of them. So we want to basically delete as much as possible that is creating a bias. And do it pronto. It definitely shouldn't be dividing people into Republicans and Democrats and whatnot. That makes no sense. The one consistent theme that should be present is: are you showing people compelling content that, like I said, that they don't regret seeing? And promoting the public dialogue. That's the intent here. It sounds like you've identified something we should get rid of right away, quite frankly.
Yeah. Hey, I just wanted to do a quick note on what you brought up, Sterling, which was a great point on the user mass class. Just wanted to share some context. So this is under our TweetCred directory, which was an algorithm that was added to the recommendations, I want to say about 10 years ago, and is actually one of the scores that we're looking to remove where we can, because we don't find it actually provides much value in terms of ranking. So although you've identified how it works correctly, it's actually not too important in how it's used throughout the code base. It's primarily as a feature within the in-network ranking stage, and it's just one of many features and doesn't have that high feature importance. But yeah, we're actively looking to remove that because it's really old and it's not the best way that we could be ranking tweets using that. But just wanted to call that out. And then Hao Fei, if you wanted to talk on the other point.
Yeah, this is Hao Fei. And Ishan will be speaking through my phone.
Hi, this is Ishan. I can provide some context on what you mentioned about the home tweet type predicates file. That's purely for metrics collection so that we can track how different groups are doing and make sure that in A/B experiments we don't penalize certain groups of people more than others. yeah, it's purely just for collecting stats.
But we should get rid of it.
Yep.
Consider it gone.
Okay, great. Thank you, Sterling. Up next is Yusuf.
Okay, thank you. All right, Assalamu alaikum. During the blessed month of Ramadan, I have a question for the team on Twitter. So the question I have is, has there been, I'm sure there has, but I would like to know what the thoughts are on the question regarding removing the whole concept of the algorithm, or reducing the concept of the algorithm down to something much more discreet and elegant, which is what Twitter's origin was, which is that essentially the people are the algorithm, meaning that you decide to subscribe to someone, you see their tweets in chronological order, and then the retweet functionality acts as the boost or the signal that allows you to see new tweets and interesting tweets. So the people are essentially the algorithm. And would this also then maybe accomplish the goal of reducing regret, because it essentially turns the algorithm into a decentralized individual responsibility to follow people who are interesting or not. So I'd like to know what the thoughts are on that, because that is essentially what Twitter's origin was, right? So what are the thoughts on that, simplifying the concept? It still would be an algorithm, it's just much simpler. Thanks.
Well, I mean, the following algorithm should be exactly that. So the intent there is that the following algorithm be, just the people you follow and what they do. So it's very easy to switch back and forth between the recommended and the following. Just sort of swipe left and right to go back and forth. The reason for the recommended algorithm is just that there are often things that are great that are happening, but you don't know that they're happening, or there's something very entertaining, interesting, funny, but it's not from anyone you follow. So how do we expose people to that? And that's what the recommended for you tab is for. Now the following tab is what you described earlier, which is kind of the user-generated graph. So, we encourage people to switch back and forth between recommended for you and following.
Okay, understood. And what is the ultimate incentive, though? Is it about increasing, how much, interesting things you're aware of? I mean, how are we knowing that for you is a success? And how do we know it's a success? I guess that's what I'm getting.
Well, I guess it would depend on, are people using the recommended for you column? If they're using that a lot, and it should be at this point, I think, sticky. So in other words, if you prefer to be on the following tab, then it'll leave you there. If you prefer to be on the recommended for you tab, it'll leave you there. But like I said, it's just very easy to swipe left and right to switch between recommended tweets and the following user-generated follow graph, which is much more just that what people you follow are saying. But we generally do see a preference, a user preference for the recommended for you over just the user graph, the direct user follow. We see a preference for recommended for you versus the following. So we must be doing something reasonably right in the recommended for you stuff, or we wouldn't see a user preference that's quite strongly weighted to the recommended tab.
Great. Up next is Farzad.
Yes, thank you. Just want to give everybody a huge props. I think you guys are doing a really good job. I've been on Twitter for a while, and I've never been more addicted. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I really want to give you guys a huge props.
Thanks. The key is, as I was saying, is like unregretted user minutes. So if you're spending a lot of time on Twitter, but you found the time, you look back on the time, and it was like, you learned less useful information, and you were entertained, it made you laugh, and that kind of thing. Which I have to say, I was just thinking about it. Like, I get more laughs from Twitter per day than anything. So it's it is working for me in that sense. So as long as the time you're spending is not regretted, then I think that's great.
Yeah. No, I would say it's been a great place to just find information. You know, it's my key tool for getting the news and just learning of new things. So I think from that perspective, it's just, you know, it's hard to step away because there's just so much to explore. But I think it's just more about my own self-control there. But I think you guys are doing a really good job with that. Around the trust sort of question, I think one of the big competitive advantages that I see in Twitter around trust is the community notes function, which I think is a really cool tool. But like within the context of AI and, you know, this whole Mid-Journey thing that, you know, we all know about ChatGPT, Mid-Journey, you know, there's increasingly more and more sort of things that are coming up that could be very confused for reality.
Yep.
And it seems like we're so close to just it being indistinguishable from being real life. How are you guys thinking about that solution? Is it scaling up community notes? Is it something else? I'm just really curious to hear where you guys' heads are at with that.
Yeah, I think we're trying to scale up community notes as much as possible. I think that for important information that is potentially misleading to the public, notes is a very powerful means of getting to the truth. So the ways that we can improve notes are obviously having the notes appear faster, so that they, it takes, if there's some piece of information that's going viral but it's wrong, then we want notes to fix it before it goes, too viral too fast. But then that's weighed against us having enough contributors to the note and enough validation of the note by trusted contributors to be able to actually make that note visible. So as more people see the note and contribute and comment, that increases the sort of credibility score and the sort of meaningfulness score of the note, and then it will surface faster. So, but I do think it's one of the most powerful things that we've got to get to assess the truth. And the notes apply to everyone. It applies to me, it applies to advertisers, it applies to presidents of countries. There's notes apply to everything on the site. And I think what we do see happening, or at least my sort of observation, is that once people get noted a few times, they're a little more careful in the future about what they say. So, some prominent accounts out there where they've been community noted a couple times, I've noticed that they now are a little more accurate in what they say, which is encouraging.
Great. Up next is Abhishek.
Hi, Mr. Mus. Big fan here. My question is about the Twitter communities. When the feature came out, I was thinking it's a big change. It was supposed to be good for me because I'm into the field of machine learning, so I could just join a community and learn about the new things there. But seems like lately it's all spam and bots there in the communities. So are you planning to bring the recommendation algorithms to communities and also recommend communities based on the user's interest?
There's a whole sort of set of things we've got to solve, because we've got communities, we've got circles, we've got topics, and there's so many different things, and lists. So now probably the best way to get information about a specific topic is actually to create a list. So if you get a Twitter pinned list, the pinned list will then appear as a menu item at the top. So you can swipe right from for you to following to whatever list you create. That I think is the best way to follow detailed information on a particular subject without being subject to bot spam. But we need something we need to do is we need to make it easier to create a list and to recommend high quality lists in particular subject areas.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Abhishek. Up next is Madi.
Hey, there is a question about the piece of code in the repo that you've just published about a line of code that is labeling some tweets that the author is Elon. Can you please explain about that?
I mean, yeah, guys, what's going on?
Yeah, this is the Jose, and yes, we do release the code that its author is Elon and author in different groups. If you read the code carefully, that's only for stats tracking purposes, and it has nothing to do with the algorithm. It's only for stats tracking purposes. The reason why we put it in to make sure that the product changes that we have made, no matter it's around the algorithm or user experience, and we want to make sure we don't bias towards one group versus another one. So that's why the group exists. So yeah, that's why the code is there. So and there's no special treatment on algorithm at all. It's just only for stats tracking purposes.
Yeah, I've already seen that part of the code that is talking about the metrics, but isn't it weird that you have 4 categories and one of them is Elon?
I think it's weird.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the first time I'm learning this, by the way.
So that's the privilege of being open source. So you can see it in GitHub now.
Yeah. So that's one of the big reasons that we open source all those things. We're looking for feedback. We're looking for areas to improve, and we'll make improvement aggressively.
We'll open source. Thank you.
Thank you.